Raider Nation, what we watched today wasn't just another loss. It was the kind of performance that makes every fan sit back and say, "How did we get here?" It's easy to point fingers at one guy, but the truth is deeper. Yes, the boos rained down on Geno Smith the moment he stepped onto the field, because the frustration in this fanbase has been building for weeks. When the effort collapses from start to finish, people react. And today, they reacted loud. But before we dive into the latest Raiders breakdown, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon, so every major Raiders update reaches you first. Alright, let's get back to the news. The problem isn't just a bad game. The problem is that every single week looks exactly the same. As fans, we sit through the same offensive disasters, the same communication issues, the same lifeless adjustments. It feels like the team is losing not because of a lack of talent, but because of decisions that simply don't make sense. Rotations on the offensive line that look completely random. Game planning that disappears under pressure. And a coaching approach that feels stubborn instead of strategic. That combination leads to exactly what we saw today, a team that looks completely broken. And that's the biggest shock. Second most cap space. 11 draft picks. A fresh chance to overhaul the roster. And somehow, the Raiders look worse than before. When rookie quarterbacks and bottom-tier offenses still put up points on you, it says something is deeply wrong. And when opposing teams start punting inside your 30-yard line, not because they're outsmarted, but because they genuinely feel bad, that's a whole new level of embarrassing. So Raider Nation, here's the real question. Is this the worst Raiders team you've ever watched? It's painful to say, but week after week, the same patterns show up. Penalties, blown assignments, special teams failures, defensive lapses, offensive collapse. It's the same movie on repeat. And the biggest issue? Accountability. When the coaching staff refuses to place blame where it belongs, when adjustments don't happen, and when protecting certain players becomes more important than fixing the team, nothing changes. And that's why fans are exhausted. Because the Raiders aren't supposed to look like this. This franchise has a legacy, an identity, and right now, that identity is getting buried under bad decisions and worse execution. Raider Nation, there comes a point where experience stops being an advantage and starts becoming the very thing holding a team back. And that's exactly where this coaching staff seems to be right now. No fan wants to say it out loud, but sometimes the moment arrives when you look at your leadership and realize their time is past. It's not disrespect, it's reality. Because what we're watching every Sunday isn't just poor strategy, it's complete organizational malfunction. When you have decades of coaching experience and still line up a tight end against one of the most dominant pass rushers on the planet, that's not a mistake, that's negligence. And the result? A disaster that everyone saw coming. The disconnect isn't just on the field. It's in the front office. It's in the locker room. It's in the energy of players who look confused, frustrated, and absolutely directionless. Young guys like Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers aren't developing. They're drowning. And that tells you everything you need to know about the environment they're in. Even the fans can feel it. When the black hole, the heart and soul of Raider Nation, is quiet, something is seriously broken. People aren't standing, people aren't engaged, because they know exactly what's coming. Another collapse. Another week of excuses. Another performance where this team looks nothing like the Raiders we all grew up watching. And then, there's the quarterback situation. Geno Smith is clearly frustrated, but frustration doesn't excuse the way he's handled this season. He told the world to blame him. He said he performs best when his back is against the wall. He said this is why he gets paid. Yet the performance on the field tells a very different story, one that's hurting this franchise every single week. When a team reflects the mindset of its leaders, you expect intensity, clarity, and identity. Max Crosby plays with all of that. Every snap. Every game. But he can't carry an entire organization by himself. Right now, the Raiders look like a team shaped by confusion at the top and inconsistency under center, and the results prove it. The frightening part? This isn't just a season going wrong. This is a team losing its identity, one decision at a time. At this point, Raider Nation, I'd almost rather see Geno Smith line up on the offensive line than continue watching him run this offense. That's how far things have fallen. And the real issue isn't just the quarterback play, it's the decisions behind him. Decisions that feel scared, stubborn, and completely disconnected from the reality in front of all of us. Naming Aidan O'Connell as the emergency quarterback? That wasn't strategy. That was fear. Fear of admitting a mistake. Fear of hearing the crowd demand change. Fear of letting the fanbase see a new option under center. Because everyone in that stadium knew what the fans wanted. They wanted hope. They wanted a spark. They wanted Aidan O'Connell to get a real chance. And instead, the staff doubled down on the same routine that's been sinking this team for weeks. I'll say this honestly. Yes, Geno got hit 10 times today. Yes, that's brutal for any quarterback. But actions have consequences. When you dismiss the fans, when you talk big, when you promise to rise when your back is against the wall, you have to show it. And he hasn't. This fanbase is loyal, proud, vocal. And when a player turns his back on that energy, the response is always going to come right back at him twice as strong. Raider Nation is fed up. And they're not wrong. Because what's on the field right now isn't competitive football. It's a slow unraveling of leadership. And the more this continues, the more interest fades. You can already feel it in the stadium. You can see it online. You can hear it in the reactions. People are exhausted. People are tuning out. People are ready for change. And if that change means moving on from Geno Smith, or moving on from Pete Carroll himself, then that's a conversation the organization can't avoid any longer. Because this version of the Raiders, the Pete Carroll Raiders, has pushed fans to the breaking point. And here's the reality. If you keep sending the same product onto the field, with the same mistakes, the same lack of adjustments, and the same unwillingness to evolve, the fanbase will eventually walk away. And some already have. Raider Nation deserves better. The roster deserves better. The franchise legacy deserves better. What we're watching right now is not sustainable, not entertaining, and not acceptable for a team with this history and these expectations. When you look at how this game unfolded, it was obvious from the start that the Raiders were going to be forced into throwing the ball. The run game wasn't there, the momentum wasn't there, and the offense had no rhythm at all. Honestly, the only thing that surprised me is that they didn't try even fewer rushing attempts. That's how predictable and desperate this offense has become. But now let's talk about what really matters. This team is inching closer and closer to the #1 overall pick. And the sad part is, it doesn't even feel shocking. That's how low the standard has fallen. Because at this point, Raider Nation isn't rooting for miracle comebacks. We're rooting for one thing: accountability. The message fans want isn't a touchdown notification. It's the notification that this franchise has finally moved on from the people holding it back. People want to see leadership change. They want to see direction. They want to see a reset, a coaching overhaul, a quarterback change, a front office that stops repeating the same mistakes every single week. Until that happens, this season is going to feel like a long walk in the dark. And speaking of dark, this game was filled with moments that showed exactly why the frustration is boiling over. Fans are calling Geno Smith the worst quarterback they've seen in years. And while he faced pressure all game, that's not an excuse for the constant hesitation, the late reads, or the missed open receivers. Think about it. The very first play could have changed everything. Trey Tucker was wide open for what should have been an 86-yard touchdown. Instead, it turned into another missed opportunity, one of many. This has been the story all season: bad timing, bad execution, bad decisions, and absolutely no ability to recover from mistakes. And yes, Geno got rattled. It was obvious. But the reality is even clearer. He's not the future of the Las Vegas Raiders. Everyone can see it now. But here's the bigger question. Do you trust this coaching staff with a new quarterback? Do you trust this regime to draft one? To develop one? To support one? Because when a staff shows clear favoritism, refuses to adapt, and repeatedly mismanages key players, it becomes impossible to believe they can handle the most important position on the field. Even prospects being discussed for the future, guys like C.J. Carr, mean absolutely nothing if the same leadership remains in charge. Talent doesn't grow in bad environments. It gets wasted in them. And that's where the Raiders stand today, a franchise with potential, being suffocated by the people making the decisions. The truth about the Raiders' quarterback situation has finally come out, and it's shaking the entire fan base. For years, this team has waited, begged, and hoped for stability under center. But today's performance? It felt like a step backward, not forward. Raider Nation expected fire, and all we got was smoke. Fans are angry, frustrated, and honestly, who can blame them? This offense looked lost. The protection broke down. The confidence vanished. And it leaves all of us wondering, what exactly is happening behind the scenes? Before we continue with the latest breaking Raiders news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss any updates. Alright, let's get back to it. Because what we witnessed today wasn't just a bad game, it was a warning sign. Injuries piled up. Michael Mayer went down. Ashton Gentry took a hit. And instead of adjustments, we saw confusion. Instead of leadership, we saw hesitation. Instead of progress, we watched the same mistakes repeat again and again. And yes, the frustration around Geno is real. People can debate how much blame he deserves, but the truth is simple. This offense has taken on the identity of its leadership, and right now, that identity is uncertainty. The energy is off. The tone feels wrong. And when a team no longer plays with confidence, it shows.